Hello there. Welcome to another episode where we are learning about Rhinoceros 3D, a computer aided design tool. We are focused on the Mac version, Rhino 6. This is an outline here, so feel free to pause or screenshot this if you want to go back. I'm going to walk through how to make the duck. And this is based off of existing tutorials, but just trying to consolidate it. Um, down into the essential steps. And also here you're going to see it specifically for Rhino 6 for Mac. So let's head over to our Rhino file. And I hope you have watched the first episode just showing you the user interface, second episode, laser cutting the name tag. And so let's get started. We're going to start off with a bounding box. The way that Rhino is, I think it's important, especially to know your dimensions up front. You can scale things afterwards, but it's good to just have it up front. So we're going to start typing box. We are going to start at the origin. You can either click. Remember, you have the grid snap and ortho here. Grid snap, it's going to snap to particular ones. We can pinch to zoom in on our perspective view. So I can click once. And we can also type in values. So 3 comma 1.5, that's going to represent inches, and press enter. And then now you could either move your mouse or move your cursor or type in a value. We're going to say that we can be up to, let's say, 2 inches tall. Okay. Remember, there's always 3 ways. You can either go up to the menu, you can find the icon, or you can just start typing box. Command 0 is going to hide and show your left. Command Alt, hide and show your right. And let's say as you create different items, then you'll have the contextual help. One thing I want to remind you, it's good to save. Unlike our other cloud-based programs, Rhino, you do have to, I think there is a way for it to save in the background, but it's just good to save up front. I had a couple students who had issues. They did all this work, and for whatever reason, their version of Rhino couldn't save. So go ahead and save the work. Duck example, whatever you want to save. All right, so we have this bounding box, and this bounding box, it just gives us a visual. There's actually a way to design something, and then it creates a bounding box for you. But this is just good for me as a teacher, a good habit to make. So we can have our layer panel here. This is on the default one. So we can switch over to the next layer, hide. All right, so we can't actually, there's not in Illustrator, you can sort of see all the items in a particular layer. So we just kind of have to remember, hey, we created this bounding box on the default layer, and now we can hide it. We can change the colors, delete, rename, do whatever you want. Okay, so let's dive in. We are going to make a duck. We're going to make 2 spheres. So start out typing sphere. Start with the center, and you don't have to go on the origin. This is just something that I am doing. And we'll make a sphere. We can do right click and go to shaded, so you can sort of get a better view. And if you want to turn on the bounding box, we can sort of see here at a glance what it's like. Remember, in Rhino, when you use the gumball, it's going to help you precisely move. And take a look at how I'm moving in perspective, and take a look at how the front is not moving, but the right is. So I can just sort of nudge it over. Okay, it's about the right size. This is going to be the head, so I'll make it a little bit smaller. So if I do the green square, it's only going to change in that direction, and we don't want that. We want a uniform scaling. So I can hold the shift key, and I'll scale it down, and it is still on grid snap right now, so I'm going to turn that off and get it, about this size. The body's going to be a little bit bigger. Okay, and then we'll turn off the right sidebar here. Let's make another sphere. You can hit return or spacebar. It'll do the most recent one. We want to align it right at around the center. Maybe right here. And then make it bigger. We'll nudge it over to adjust. All right, so we can actually switch over to the right view here and see how this is a little big. So we will hold the shift key. All right, about there. Okay, and this bounding box, it's not a strict requirement, but it just allows you to get a sense of how big it is. So let's go down a little bit, move it over. Okay, so this is a good pausing point. We are going to hide the bounding box, and let's get to work on the duck. A couple reminders here. If you select on an object, you can type ZS for zoom selected. It'll focus on that. You can also do Command-Shift-E, and it'll fit everything into view. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to make it so that we can sort of form, squish, pull. That's one of the advantages of the Rhino system, the free form modeling. And so we need to add some control points. So we're going to Command A, or we can select both items. We're going to call rebuild. And let's just give it simple number 8 point counts. U and V just correspond to X and Y. Rebuild. And when you rebuild, you sort of see more of these lines. So if you think of a globe, it's kind of like the latitude, longitude lines. But we can't actually see the points. So what we need to do is we need to turn the points on. So that's points on. And you might be thinking, hey, I'd rather look at the menu and find these commands, but just take it one thing at a time. Learn the commands as you need them. Don't try to study them in a book and try to memorize them. You will memorize them as you use them more. So points on, and then if you want, you could points off to turn it off. So the next thing we are going to do, we are going to flatten the bottom of the duck. So let's take a look at our front view. You can either just focus or double click. Okay, front view here. We are going to flatten it. So imagine this is sort of like a rubber ducky. And we want to make it so that it's kind of like you see the feet below the water, but you really don't see the feet. So we're going to select the control points. We're going to do a selection window, click and drag. Remember, right to left, only the things that are encompassed. Whereas, sorry, I think I said right to left. Left, that was left to right. This is right to left. Anything that touches will get selected. So pick the way you want to select. I would do left to right in this case. And then we're going to use this command called set point. And what we're going to say is we are going to set the Z of this object's control points, align to world, set points. Now with your cursor, we can flatten it. My grid snaps on, so I can go to function F9, and sort of whatever you feel best as a flattened duck. Over time, you are going to form this more and more. So let's just say right here. All right. So we have done that. Next thing we are going to do, we're going to pick some of the points on the front here, and we're going to sort of flatten it, stretch it out more. You don't have to pick exactly the same points that I am. Actually, I don't quite want that. So there's a lot of trial and error, and you're gonna get a better sense over time. Actually, let's try this one only. Yeah. All right. Each of these control points sort of adjusts a certain part of the duck, and you can switch to perspective just to make sure you're not doing too much work that doesn't match what you want. Okay, maybe I'll just do one more adjustment. Again, it's really up to you how much forming you want. Okay, then we've done the front. Let's do the tail. So the tail, I'm going to pick one of these control points. All right, this little grid square does both, in this case, X and Z. All right, so just keep adjusting. All right, and I'm not going to spend too much time crafting this. You can do it to you how you would like. And then now we're going to do the head. So we're going to pick maybe these front control points, sort of stretch it out. All right, maybe we want to select the top here, bring it down a little. Yeah, you do all sorts of different things, and again, switch to perspective so you can just see in 3D. If you're doing this right, it should be picking all the points at once so it keeps it symmetric. Okay, so let's say this is what we want. I'm going to switch back to front view here. And the next thing we're going to do is we are going to we're going to sort of carve out. Okay, so let's position the head. We're going to carve out, if you see where my cursor is, sort of a piece here. We're going to split it, sort of making it a more organic fit, and then connect the two surfaces. So it's just going to make more sense when I do it. We're going to do an interpolating curve, interp curve. And we're going to do it for the top. So just click, 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 click. And remember, after your last click, you can press return. And then same thing down here. Again, this is really sort of subjective, what type of curve you want. All right. And now we're going to use the split tool. Split. We're going to pick our head. All right, press enter. It says cutting objects. It's going to be this curve. Then enter. I'm going to switch to shaded mode here. Kind of hard to see because it's red and red. You can adjust the color if you want. Now you can see this bottom piece is separated. We can delete it, and we can delete this curve anyways. Same thing with down here. Split. Here's the object. Enter. The curve. Enter. And then now these are separate pieces. All right. You see here, this is just the front and the back piece. All right. So now with that set, let's switch back to our perspective view. All right, you can see where we're going. We are going to connect these two surfaces. We're going to blend. That's going to be the tool. I'm going to stick in perspective view here just so you can get a sense of what we're doing. We're going to type blend, blend surface. It says select first edge. I'm going to pick this right here. Select second edge. Now, sometimes when you do this, this is going to be two edges, so you might have to go back and chain edges, but let's see what this picks as. Yeah, you see how that didn't allow me to pick the second half, so let's do that again. Just going to cancel this. All right, first edge, pick. We're going to chain edges. You can type C and enter. Okay, so we're going to pick and pick. Oops. There we go. I think that's what we want. Now you can adjust these arrows here. You want to actually on the same side. And then this is sort of where the C meets. Now, this gets into really advanced controls. So I would just keep it so that these are aligned. See, it says drag seam point to adjust. Press enter when done. And now this is going to show you a preview. See what the sliders do. All right, that's probably not what we want. Get it to something of your liking. Click OK. And there you go. You have a basic duck. So again, you can really get to finer detail. But for now, we're going to see how this compares to our sizing box. If you want, we can group all this together because right now, these are different pieces. Or if you do a Boolean union, Boolean is sort of like a Venn diagram. It's logic. You can just group it all, group in the Tinkercad sense all together. But that might be hard to undo afterwards. So we're just going to keep it as one group. Okay, and now we can move it around. Let's go to our layers, turn on our default. If we want to switch to our 4 views, we can move it bit by bit, and it looks like our duck fits right in. Now let's say it was a little too big. We can use the appropriate handles to adjust it. And so then the last thing we need to do, we are ready to export. So if you're doing this as part of the class, you're probably going to be 3D printing this. So assuming you did the dimensions right, we can click on this object, go to File, Export. Then we're going to pick the STL option. That's the 3D printing file. Then we can export, click OK, and you are ready to go. So hope you learned something in making this iconic rubber ducky that is found in many Rhino tutorials. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.